This is the Red Leather Show of me, Josh Atherton, Andy Simcox, Tom Webster, and Tracy Martin. We're going to look forward to this Good Friday game against Leyton Orient, and this is definitely the first time I've done this introduction, not the fifth at all. So let's get stuck into it. Right, before we get into the game though, we've got a bit of an update on Al as well. Andy's going to give an update on how he's doing and things, but there is one thing at the game against Peterborough. We'll also mention it after we've done his reaction to the Leyton Orient game as well and previewing that, which will be in the weekend. But at the Peterborough game, in the 3rd minute, there's going to be a minute's applause for Al, just because he's had bits of bad news today, which Andy will explain in a sec. But yeah, at the Peterborough game, 3rd minute, a round of applause for Al, just for the minute, just giving him a little bit of strength and a little bit of hope. And Andy, you've got an update on how he's doing at the minute as well.
I have. Yesterday he had keyhole surgery with a view to looking to see if he had any cancer in his stomach, because if he had, it would be inoperable and he'd have to get chemotherapy and immunotherapy to learn to live with it. Everybody was hopeful because it had 2 scans and it didn't show anything in his stomach, and also however, he got the results this morning, and the results was partially positive that he didn't have cancer in his stomach or a growth in his stomach, but he had outside his stomach, in the fatty tissue outside his stomach, which has rendered it inoperable. So Alan's not going to go under the knife to have his cancer removed. He's going to be transferred to Western Park for chemotherapy and the like, to try and make it so that it's livable with. So it's not a death sentence or anything like that. It's something he's got to learn to live with, but it's obviously dreadful news. Hopefully Thursday, maybe tomorrow, but more likely Thursday, is going to have a stent fitted, which would enable him in time to eat and drink better, because he's struggling like mad to do that. So it's he needs to be able to build up. So they're hoping to do that and then transferring his case, referring him on to Western Park. So it's not the greatest news at all that we've had. It could be worse, but not a lot worse. So just a bit concerned about my dear friend, because he's very, very upset about it and scared, truthfully. However, in doing that, when I saw him last night, he did show me his Marvel superhero shorts, which is a sight I never wanted to see and never want to again, Alan. So leave it out. We've seen the photographs, or these I've seen it in real life. It's not a good look, Al. Don't bother. You're not 3-year-old. You might be having some applause in the 3rd minute, but you're not 3-year-old. You're a 71-year-old bloke. You don't need Spider-Man shorts on. So, grow up a bit, eh?
Yeah. As Andy said, they were all behind you, Al. The whole Barnsley family and community is behind you and supporting you through this journey. So good luck. Right. Leyton Orient football feels very small now compared to that, but looking forward to Good Friday. It's not on the weekend, like I've said on the 3 previous intros I've tried to do.
4 previous intros.
No, you did ruin one of them yourself, actually.
I did.
So I'm
this
saying
one and all.
we've done so well so far. We're flying. Andy, you've done the away end earlier today. I'll get the plug in for you nice and early. Just because no doubt you'll spend the next 25 minutes doing it as well. A bit of it's one of them games where they've still got quite a lot to play for. Sat 7th in the league. We're sort of out, more or less well and truly out of playoff contention. I think mathematically it is still possible, but probably not by this weekend. So it is a little bit weird for us to have nothing to play for. But you look at last weekend, who Bolton, they're trying to get into the playoffs, and we wiped them aside with a 4-1 victory. But so, I mean, some of us had belief in that side and predicted a 3-1 win. I don't know about anyone else. I mean, you went 2-2, Tracy. You weren't that bothered. You said we'd lose, Andy. I assume you said we'd lose, Tom. So none of you that have faith in this side, unlike me.
Reverse
I didn't say we'd lose.
psychology.
I said one apiece.
Yeah, it's
I went
basically
for
a
reverse
loss.
psychology. I knew that if I said that we'd lose, they'd come good. All down to me.
No, I just wondered that on previous 6 games we haven't won.
Well, I'm not promoting us to win 2-1. If I say we win 2-1, we'll get hammered. Oh,
Did you
anyway.
learn anything from the away end?
Yeah, the feeling, well, a mixture, looking forward to a mixture of a confidence as well as anything else. 3 points behind Reading, who, you know, to be truthful, could be wound up before we play them in the last match of the season, with the stuff that their owner is going through. I hope not. And to be honest, oh, so do Leyton Orient fans because they've beaten them twice. They got 6 points. They don't want them 6 points rubbed out because neither Bolton, who's the other possibility, um, or Reading, not Reading, what's it, Ori Reading and some other club.
Huddersfield.
No, Huddersfield, no, they don't bother about them. They're rubbish. They've no chance. They're not
Bolton?
worried about them.
Did you say Bolton earlier?
Yeah, Bolton, they don't gain it. They don't lose any points because they ain't beating them. So they're feeling reasonably confident. They've got a better goal difference than Reading, but they're 3 points behind. And if you look at the fixtures that are coming up, which we did, when I say they, I'm talking about Orient, have got the harder running. Reading have got the easiest running, but that's on paper, isn't it? And league form, it doesn't always mean anything. I think in some respects he's discounting Bolton Wanderers because he thinks they're rubbish, and I suppose I helped. I helped, much as our fans' own mates won't be happy with me. I helped him, so he thinks it's down to that. So they need to win. They need to beat us because they've got that. Then they're away to Cambridge. This is Orient. Way to Cambridge. Then they're at home to Wickham, which will be a good game. So they're hoping that Wickham's already beaten Wrexham to the top two spot, and Wrexham can't do out about it, so that they'll take their foot off. And then they're away the last match of the season against Huddersfield. So I've told them, don't worry about them, you'll beat them, because they've done note. Apart from beating us twice, they've done note. So they've got a pretty decent record, haven't they? In the last 6 matches, they've won 4, drawn 1, and lost 1. But they've had a number of injuries, but some are gradually coming back, but not all. There's some out for the season. Hap, what's his name? Hap. Dan Hap is coming back as out, looking likely he's going to be out for the season. But my mate Omar Beckles came back last week, and so he might not be the best footballer in the world, but he's an effective defender. So he's on his way back, and of course, as he pointed out, they've got ladder up front. Charlie Kelman up front who's scoring goals for fun. And possibly my favourite player at Oakwell, well, not favourite, but my most hated player at Oakwell, Dan Adji, who run us ragged from the right wing, left-footed, but from the right wing at Oakwell. He's just coming back from injury. He started as a sub, so they're hoping he's going to start. And that'll not be great for us. So I don't know. Good luck to them. It's all going to. At least they've got something to be bothered about. I think he truthfully expects them, whether they get in the playoffs or not. I think he truthfully, Adam Parks on their Lowdown podcast, honestly expects them to still be in League One next year. Well, you never know, do you? You never know.
No, you say so, don't you? Especially the draw of the playoffs. Quickly, just pull up the stats back here, Tom. Richie Wellens still in charge. Charlie Kelman, as Andy's mentioned there, 19 this season. Sat 7th in the league. Form, 3 wins, drawn and lost in the last 5. Key player Charlie Kelman, surprisingly. And key stats of Leyton Orient is they've drawn the joint least amount of games this season, drawing 6, which I think is same as them and 3 other sides, which it just goes to show a little bit of if you have that decisiveness to get 3 points instead of 1, how much it can catapult you up the league as such, as opposed to just being pegged back and drawn like, which is probably been our problem this season. Far too many draws.
In fairness, he says it's been their problem as well that he thinks they've dropped about 13 points from for the same sort of thing, giving away daft goals.
Interesting, but it is. I mean, they are those sort of results, Tom, which do kill your season of drawing, especially when you're aiming for top 6, top 2, that kind of area of draws against sides you should be beating. They are a bit of a pain.
I mean, we know all too well at one point. Um, yeah, I think I think it could be an interesting one. I think we might push forward from Birmingham and from yeah, I think
Bolton.
um, Bolton. Um, yeah, we've started playing some decent football. We're actually putting ball around again, and we seem to have that seems to be back as well. We're we, it's not as laboured, it's not as hard to watch. Um, and I'm hoping we can sort of push on and ruin Orient's day. Um, so I'm gonna channel me and Aral, and I'm gonna say we're gonna be like a steam train, like the Orient Express. I know he'd love a pun. Oh, come on, Andy, you know he'd love that.
It's true.
Um,
You would have said that.
yeah, so I'm
It's a
hopeful.
very obscure stat to go with that, though. Tom. Like how
Oh,
many
he would
people
love
were
it.
on the Orient Express or something?
I could just make a stat up because I'm pretty sure he does anyway. So, um, yeah, it's I'm hopeful that we're going to have a decent end to the season. To be honest with you now, I feel like I've seen enough in the last few games that um, we've started playing better, and hopefully we're going to start getting some rewards for it. But we'll see.
Yeah, it does. It does feel a bit like that, Tracy. Because obviously, coming up against sides like Bolton, and Leyton Orient, we've still got a lot to play for, and we've not really got much to play for as such. Like it is, it's that point of season now where you can't really see us picking up results as such on a consistent basis because it's almost for what reason or why. Like there's no impetus there to either stay up or try and get into the top six because both are gone and we seem to be coming up against a lot of sides towards the back end of the season that have still got a fair bit to play for as well.
Yeah, although I think in some respects it probably helps us because if we were playing teams similar to us, I can't imagine got the boredom factor that might be there. But as it stands, I think like certainly Birmingham Bolton, they Birmingham was different obviously because of the sending off, but Bolton, I don't know, they were nervous maybe, they were on the back foot, didn't expect us maybe to come at them, and I think because we're in a position where we've got nothing to lose, but we're playing against teams who have, then almost they're the ones under lots of pressure, and we can just, I don't know, I felt like the shackles were off a bit on Saturday, and I think maybe there were no pressure because we've been pretty poor generally, and it was like just go out and play and almost enjoy the football. And I've seen a couple of comments. Sort of Stephen Humphries has mentioned that he feels that he can play without fear. A couple of others have said that Connor's given him that impetus to just go in and back and enjoy the game, and I think that showed a bit. So in some ways, it might help us that we're playing teams that have got a bit of pressure because we certainly have zero pressure. So yeah, I mean, as Tom said, we've slowly got better, and I think there's a number of people, me definitely included, who was 100% against Urian becoming our permanent manager. Originally, I thought it was not a great move. I thought I'm always ever think to get out of this league we need somebody who's got experience, etc. But do you know what? Fair play to the bloke. He's slowly. I mean, it's taken a while, but he's slowly turning us around, and you can see a bit of I don't know. We seem to have a bit of focus, a bit of shape. We seem to know what we're doing. And changing to the back four on Saturday made a huge difference in playing with wingers, which a few people have said, why haven't we been doing that? Because we've commented, oh, have we got any wingers? Well, he's made two wingers, certainly. Well, Jallo probably is a winger, but certainly Humphries. Yeah, I think we'll go there with no fear and probably going to enjoy it. I would hope. No pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it might work in our favour, Andy, sort of not having that pressure or anything to sort of play for in a way. I know one thing that I found key was from John Russell's interview today of like he turned down going on international duty with Jamaica because he wanted to stay here and sort of wanted to play for Connor and felt a little bit indebted to him in a way, which is interesting to see the players sort of buying in, especially when you see the interviews as well, as you mentioned, Tracy, of sort of Humphreys and Luke O'Connell as well last week. Of all the players seem to be coming out and saying that they want to play for him, they want to they want to do well. Whereas I feel like we didn't really see too much of that when Daryl Clark were in charge as such, and players weren't so vocal about it as well.
I think you're absolutely right. It's it feels like bit by bit is changing the culture, if you like. And let's be right, you brought up Johnny Russell not playing for his national side. He's out of contract at the end of the season, so he could easily have said, "Oh, I'm going on beach," or I'm going off to play international football." But he hadn't, even though there's nothing to play for apart from maybe a new contract. But I wouldn't expect that he wouldn't have any offers anywhere. Um, it shows a lot about what's gone on. I've said for a long while that my personal choice would be the return of Michael Duff and have Connor as his number two to learn his trade even more. But if not him, if he wasn't going to come back, and if I'm honest, I don't think it's at all likely. You never know, but I don't think it is. I'm personally not bothered about having anybody else. Um, Maybe just just let him try. I mean, the only shame about having somebody as your head coach is that ultimately they're going to leave, aren't they? They're going to either improve themselves elsewhere. And remember, Connor is an ambitious guy, or they get sacked. So it's the one thing about if you take the top job, you're ultimately going to leave one way or another in the next couple of years, or maybe next 10 months in our case. Um, so that's the only bit I want. I won't want it to be too early for him so that it results in that. But the alternatives, I know there's a number of people being mentioned, but they don't. None of them fill me with any. Whether it's Warren, whether it's Page, whether it's Williams, none of them fill me with any great. I think, oh God, here we go. Looking forward to it now. I would definitely say if not Michael, then Connor. That would be it for me. So, and that gives you some idea. And I know that after 4 games you could see little shoots, but a bit more pride in wanting to wear the shirt and not be going through the motions. And I think he's given them all a kick, and some of them have needed it. And it's going to be an interesting summer. If they're not going to, I don't want somebody I've never heard of. If I'm honest, um, I, he's not doing himself any harm. And if he continues between now and the end of the season in similar vein, hopefully with the best of results. But if the attitude and the application is there, um, he should get it. He just should. And I think a lot of people are coming round to, including me, coming round to that thought. So I think just let him do it. Just gate him now, like Rotherham's done. Just gate him. It might make a big difference. What you don't want is for it to drag on and drag and drag on in the summer, and you get players then thinking, "Oh, I don't know whether I want to re-sign. I don't know whether I want to do this or I want to do that, or put a transfer request and all that because I don't know who's going to be in charge. They might like me, they might not like me." In the same way that Harry Eisted had when Michael Duff left. You need to know where you're getting. So I just think if it's not Michael, just give him the flipping job and give everybody a fill. If you ought to sell season tickets, presuming that we win our last 4 games and win them 4-1, that'd cheer me up.
That's it then. Just win the last game.
Easy, innit?
4-1, easy as that.
Well, I'm just going to keep predicting 2-1 against Barnsley, and it's nailed on.
You've done that loads of times, though, and we've still lost. It's because it was my wishful thinking. He's taking far too much credit there for you being pessimistic. You're bringing this show down. You are.
Well, I can bring it a lot lower than it is currently.
No, don't worry. I saw the introductions. I saw that content. Tom, a lot of balls sort of moves as well by Connor to almost win the dressing room round in a way, but not that he didn't go about it by sort of being nice to players. Like he came out and said Adam Phillips isn't playing because he's not applying himself in training. You'll find out on Saturday if he has been applying, if he's in the start 11 and things like that. I think to come out and call one of your better players as well out like that and sort of make it public and be quite frank with it's a bold move depending on how they take it. And Lucas said the same thing of sort of he's had a kick up the backside from Connor and again looked quite good on Saturday compared to the rest of the season as well. It seems like the players are, even though Connor's been sort of honest with them and frank in interviews to everyone else, it seems like they are sort of buy into that what he's saying as well.
I think if there's some truth behind it, then they can sort of justify it. Um, Earlier on in the season, there were many times Clark had big players out, and I was thinking, why? At points, there was just no need for it. I mean, one where we lost against Man United, you know, the 80 odd places above us in league. And yeah, I know we lost and it weren't brilliant, but it came out straight away and just took players out. And I thought, at that point, there was just no point. It wasn't, it was just sort of rubbing salt into wound. It was pointless. But taking over and he's like, look, you need to do more in training. I'm going to tell you, yeah, and you dropped. So do more in training, you'll get back inside. And it creates an hunger. Or it can create a hunger. But if you're just digging players out for the sake of digging them out, it will soon turn. He knows what he's doing, and he's been there. He's you know, it's not like he played in Premier League. He's played under good managers. He knows what's needed basically, and he's been a captain as well. So he knows how to lead. He knows what he's talking about, and he knows that the effort needs to be there. You can't just phone it in.
It does feel sort of, Tracy, probably building a little bit off the back of the culture that was set when he was at when he was playing for us. We sort of look at that time like there was a real buzz around the town as well. The football club sort of at the centre of that at the time, and it almost, especially when you look at that sort of first 3 months in the championship, I think we're sat third at some point, like with that side together. It felt like the real sort of push on, and like the team felt together, the fans were well behind the club and everything like that. It feels like Connor's come into a completely different situation in a way of it's completely different now. There's a divide between fans and players, not good results on the pitch, and sort of almost like he's ripped it up and trying to build it up from the ground again to try and emulate that atmosphere that was sort of around the club previously.
I think he's also got a little bit lucky that we're bringing academy players through as well. That there's a connect with fans that they're our own. So that you get that extra bit of connection between Jallo and Flavel and fans, and it, every fan in Oakwell wants to play. We'd love to be on that pitch. We'd love to have that talent and to be able to put 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 it in, but we can't. And all we ask for is that as players show that they want to be on that pitch as much as we do. And I think having a couple of academy lads in there helps. I think it really does. It helps that connection, and I think that's another thing that's helped Connor as well.
I think one of the big things is that Conor Houlihan knows what it feels like for the fan, or knows about the fans for Barnsley and what it means to them to support the club. He knows what they want. And just to go back briefly to Luke O'Connell and Adam Phillips, they could easily. I mean, irrespective, some people think, oh, the rubbish, sell them and all that lot. They will definitely get suitors this summer because they are both very good players, irrespective of what anybody else thinks. They're very, very good players. They could easily have taken their bat and ball home and thought, well, if he wants to try and make a show of me, he can do, and that'll be that. I'll just go somewhere else in the summer. But both of them showed their mettle as human beings as well as players, that they wanted to play for this club, and it showed last Saturday. It showed the week before for Connor as well, for Connell, but it showed last Saturday that they're knuckling down and that they are good human beings as well as good players. And well done to both of them.
Yeah, just on that, Tracy, does it give you a little bit more confidence coming into the summer of obviously like, especially sort of in the case of Aaron Phillips, of like Connor sort of dug him out in the media and when he's not been playing himself, he's not playing for me. And as Andy said there, we know that, well, we've seen that Preston have been tracking him for a while now, and saying something like that, like it is probably things like it could rub up the wrong way. It's like, fine, I'll leave in summer, that's fine by me. But the fact that he has sort of come back, applied himself, does it give you a little bit more confidence in the summer that we might be able to retain some of these key players. So I know Nero's come out and said we will have to sell to help bridge that. And obviously, you think Adam Phillips, under a decent contract, probably could play in the Championship. Could be one of those players that goes for a fee or a decent fee at least. But the fact that they do want to play for Connor, it's a little bit. It gives you a little bit of hope that maybe they might just give it another chance for another season as well.
No.
Right, that'll do me.
I'd love to say yeah, but I think no. I think I completely agree with Andy. I have full respect for Luca and Adam. I think they're both, particularly, Connell's been upfront and said I needed a kick up the ball. I thought he was fantastic on Saturday and showed he wanted to play for the shirt. And Phillips definitely started to look like he was back to himself. Having said that, I think both of them, unfortunately, because it is unfortunate because they are both talented footballers, will be playing for other clubs next season, irrelevant of who the manager is, because I think that financially we will cash in. And when you look through our squad, with them two and DKD, there's the cash if you want. Because let's be honest, they're the three that probably are going to get the most interest, could probably all compete at the Championship. And if we need to sell, and I've pretty much said we need to sell, well then I'm afraid there you go. And they've got to have ambitions to play in League One. And let's be honest, as it stands as a club where we are now, I'm not sure our ambitions are outside of League One financially. I just think we've openly, it looks like we can't compete currently to get out of League, what you need to get out of League One. You've only got to look ahead of us. Look at the two teams that are absolutely walloping this league. Birmingham's walloped it. Ben Wrexham, but they've spent loads of money. Yeah, there's teams up there like Wycombe where you could say, but I just don't think we can compete at the moment. And if you're Adam Phillips, Luca Connell, you want to do better. And unfortunately for us, there are teams like Preston, maybe Burnley, etc., who are going to. And we know this. Those two in particular are in the Northwest. I think they still live in the Northwest. So I just think it's a no-brainer, which it hurts me to say, but and fair play to Conor Orian because he's got him playing, but I don't think either will be here next season. And DKD, I'm not sure about him either, which sends shivers down my spine, because then that does make me think, oh dear. But to turn it back to a negativity after a couple of positive results, but there we go.
I think it's going to come down to our sporting director as well. He needs to do better. I mean, there's other players, remember, that can go. Like, I'd be amazed. Not that he's a bad footballer. I'd be amazed if we don't release Josh Benson, because he's not. We've not got our value out of him. Let's put it that way. It's not that he's an untalented footballer, but he's not on the pitch, and he's as good as me when he's just watching. And truthfully, now that's not very good. So he's no use. And let's be right. I was hoping that next season, if we're going to stick with a back four, which let's stick with a back four and have wingers, because it's more exciting to watch, and everybody knows the job better. Matt Roberts still playing. I would have loved, and who knows what's going on. I would love to see Jack Shepherd at the side of him, and Josh Earl further out wide, like he did on Saturday. But he's getting rave reviews at Bradford City, so
got a blinder
I'm
on
surprised
Saturday.
if they will want to buy him, because if they come up, they'll want to buy him. So that could be somebody that sells. I don't automatically think it's going to be them three, and we're all in the doldrums. I know there's a good chance for it, but don't take on so, Tracy. Don't get upset. Don't get upset about it. Get rid of Maladen instead.
When Luca leaves, be upset when Luca leaves. Have a lot of time. I mean, if Barry stays, it'll cushion the blow a bit, but
Too soon.
I don't even know what to say about that. I'm struggling. Although I do think I know everyone says DKD's going to leave. I don't see that. Like, there's not many players that stay at a club for one season and leave. Like, it's just there's just one player we can keep as well. His value is just going to keep increasing.
Yeah, there was big rumours about Sunderland, weren't there? And obviously that's his club. I suppose if they go up, then. But if they don't, and it is true, would he turn that down?
Oh no, but let's talk seven figures.
Oh, easy.
Let's just start there and then stop. Because if we're going to say 6 mil down for Coney, we're talking 8 at least, and then then we'll have a conversation. If Madden needs some help on how to do that, I will happily handle that phone call from Sunderland for him.
I will need some help with that.
The only worry I've got with you saying he's worth 8, I agree. But we have just advertised the fact that we need to sell. Like we've come out and gone, oh, we need to sell players to
But in
survive.
the context of what Narif did say, he did say in terms of getting value for him as well.
We got told
sorry.
off for not saying it right.
I did. He did say that he wants to get market value. It's not a case of fire sale sort of approach that we've had previously. Like, I think it will be decent fee that we will get should they move on.
I'm not saying fire sale, but if somebody says, "Oh, I'm desperate to sell," you don't offer them the full market value, do you? You come in and I mean, we did it with EKD with Mansfield. They wanted 1 million, and we said no, and we kept. Eventually, we got him for 700k, and I'm just thinking that's probably going to happen to us because we've just put his hands up and gone. We need to sell. We need the money, and when you see it desperate like that, it's a bit.
But we've always been in that position, but still shipped 5 mil for kitchen and things like that. Like in previous seasons, the transfer window has been better in terms of getting actual market value for players that we have got. But clubs will know, even if we don't go out and say it publicly, clubs will know we need to sell based on the model that and the approach which we have is to sort of try to be profitable and sustainable in regards to that. So they do know how we're going to operate and know that you could probably get someone a little bit cheaper here. But recently I've put his foot down a touch and actually got a bit of market value.
Well, I agree we have got market value of it last sort of, especially with kitchen. I thought that were. I thought we got over market value. I didn't think you were worth what we actually sold him for. But I just think to put your hands up and say, "Oh, we are desperate to sell," I think it puts you on the back foot.
Hold on. Has Liam Kitchen left then?
No, Al said he weren't going anywhere.
Al said he won't. He's injured, isn't he? He's not going anywhere, is he?
He's on loan.
I thought.
He's on loan at Coventry, top 6 at Championship.
Yeah. We're other centre half and goalkeeper.
I think it's a good point, though. I forgot who mentioned of Jack Shepherd, that he could come in with some decent value. A young centre half who's had a heck of a season at Bradford.
I'd love him to come back.
Yeah.
Well, it's ours. But why would we sell him to the? That would be
we're selling. It'd be said that we've got to sell people. It might be one that they want him, presuming they want him to get good crowds. I know they don't charge people as much to get the bigger crowds, and I applaud them for that.
But I would imagine in wages, he's got to be one of the lowest earners with where we took him from, and that would be.
They offer him more. He might want to stop there. He's having a great season.
Well, we just say no.
Well, will we? Because we want to sell. As Tom says, we've identified we're going to flog. I think they might have a change of heart. I'm hoping against hope they're going to have a change of heart and realise that if they sell the 3 that you're talking about, Tracy, all is lost, including hope and season tickets.
This is a bit of a strange position in which we are in terms of the 3 better players are the only ones that really got value. I know it's one thing I've seen a lot about of sort of the layering in the squad of previous when we have done this. You can sort of see the next bunch of players that are going to come and be that value, whereas now it's
Jallo possibly shown a bit of if he continues and he stays injury free, because he's going to attract, I would imagine.
20
million for Jallo.
Now,
if Stansfield's 20 million, actually maybe 35. Price has gone up. Moving back to Friday, Andy. In fact, let's just give predictions. What do you reckon?
Well, Adam Park said that in deference to us, to try and give us a bit of a fillip, that he just said that they'd beat us 3-1 as opposed to 3-0. So that were kind of him. But, I actually think that we're going to upset him. It's going to be a good Friday for us. And I've said we'll upset you on Friday, but don't worry about it because we'll also upset Reading in the last match of the season. So I've predicted that they're going to win 2-1. But I'm saying it now before it happens, 2-1, because it's reverse psychology. So if we lose 2-1, I'm not going to crow and say I got it right. I'm going to say I got it wrong, because it's purely reverse psychology. Because we're going to wax them.
You're just clamouring over the fact that Just because you got one wrong last week. I'm trying to take far too much credit for it.
Oh.
Tom?
I'm going to go to Desmond Tutu.
Oh, I like the way you said that.
Flawless one of you.
That's made me happy. Tracy?
Don't, Tracy. Don't.
No, I thought Leyton Orient were outstanding when they played us at home. I thought probably the best side I've actually seen, if I'm being honest. I mean, we were poor, but they were very good. Slightly better, I think we are now. A bit more positive. 1-1.
Oh, none of you learnt from last week. When
No.
we're against these sides, we're going to hammer them. I tell you.
I hope we do.
Easy. Back four. Johnny Russell, back post. It's going to be carnage, and we'll win 2-1. Pressures for tyres. Pressures for tyres, and everyone keeps crumbling under it a minute. I think it's getting to that point in the season as well where you do get silly results like we got at the weekend as well, because of things like pressure. So, yeah, 2-1 win. Put Boone out for 3 points by Saturday morning, Andy.
There's always silly results, isn't there, over the Easter weekend.
And they don't do draws either. They've only done 6 all season, and 2 you've gone for a draw.
The drew a draw. Clearly.
That's what, to be fair, that is exactly what I'd say. Although they did draw.
It's rubbish, like, but it's what you'd say.
Yeah. When were they last draw? 3 games ago? 2 games ago?
Yeah, they've drawn within the last 4 games, haven't they?
Drew a draw, are they, Tom? 42, 6 draws, drew at third. I'm not sure them stats are correct.
They've drawn 1 game in the last 10 matches, and they've drawn 1 in the last 10 home matches. So it's going to happen, isn't it?
That's a Craig XG stat I've ever seen one. Right, we'll be back at the weekend with our reaction to the Leyton Orient game, and we'll be previewing Peterborough, who have just won the Virtue Trophy, the most prestigious trophy you could possibly win in football, in my eyes, especially when at Papa John's and you got 50% off. That's when it used to be a real sport. This.
Can I read something that the first club to retain it?
Yeah, true story.
Yeah,
fair play. Pointless trophy.
Unless you win it.
Even then, it's just so many extra games.
On the way end, we did have a discussion halfway through about football in general, the Premier League, and that trophy. I managed to bring up that trophy as well. So
is that another promote? Have you just promoted yourself then?
It was just a little promotion to say we didn't just talk about the match. We talked about drivel really.
You've not mentioned merch yet, Andy.
No, I haven't. I'll tell you what, this is better than Smithy's shorts. I'll tell you that much. And Tracy's.
Better quality.
Certainly that.
It's not hard though. It's a bit of a pair of Spider-Man shorts.
Well, he is a superhero, isn't he?
Oh, can't unsee it.
Dear me.
Can't unsee it.
I mean, I normally blame him for everything, so I'll give him a bit of kudos.
That's a fact. Oh, you got a visitor there, Andy. Just keep morphing away as well.
Look at him. He's that big.
Do you know what? I think that does sum up this show because it has just been a car crush from start to finish.
I think he's looking for your cat in window. I think that's what he's doing.
Gary Neverland's here today. He's having a nap. He's doing Sky Sports.
Get ready for Champions League.
Yeah, he's got TNT to do. Right, we'll be back at the weekend with our reaction to our 2-1 win at Leyton Orient and previewing Peterborough. We'll see you there, you Reds. This is the Red Alert Show with me, Josh Everton, Andy Simcox, Tom Webster and Tracy Martin. We're here to preview this Good Friday game against Leyton Orient as we welcome them. No, we don't. Yeah, we do. I'll start that again.
No. As we welcome them to their ground.